Thank you so much, Innocent. Definitely we'll keep tracking the South African economy there to see if 2026 will continue strong right there. All right, to other conversations now. We're taking a close look at the state of women's economic progress in Africa, from trade and fiscal policies to social protection measures like childcare, healthcare. Women's economic empowerment is shaped by a complex web of factors, and the evidence shows both successes and persistent gaps. Well, join us as a leading researcher who has been at the forefront of studying women's economic empowerment in Sub-Saharan Africa. We'll explore key findings from their work, examining how macroeconomic and social policies affect women. Joining me for this, we have Clarice Nyan, policy and research expert, International Center for Evaluation and Development. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So what is the status of women economic progress in Africa? Looking at 2025, what have we seen?
Okay, so in Africa, we have seen some progress. Of course, this progress does not come without some challenges. We still have issues of limited access to finance, unpaid care work, and then we also have challenges with weak legal and policy implementations.
And you've been at the forefront of research on women's economic empowerment. Could you share the core findings from your recent work, especially where strong evidence exists and where gaps still persist?
Yeah, thank you. So my team at the International Center for Evaluation and Development, an African-based research institute, where we have our presence in over 24 countries in Africa. We had this study, and then from the results, we realized that there's a lot of evidence on social protection and economic policy. So for social protection policies, we realized that a lot of evidence was on social housing, childcare policies, unpaid care work, decent care work. With regards to where the gaps are, we realized that there's a lot of gap with regards to this research on advocacy interventions, some of which are policy advocacy, training, public awareness campaigns.
So what does the evidence tell us about the effects of macroeconomic policies such as trade, fiscal and monetary policy on women's economic empowerment in SSA?
Okay, so national or macro level policies, they shape women opportunities in Africa. So for example, if you have fair tax systems, you have trade policies, they support women-owned businesses and government spending on health and education. All these can reduce inequalities. When we make sure that policies are gender responsive, they help remove these barriers that women face in Africa.
All right, so platforms, such as, annual African Evidence to Action Forum, that brings, governments, policymakers, researchers, and civil society together to discuss, actualization of SDGs for Agenda 2063. How can such platforms, concretely improve the uptake of, evidence in policymaking and strengthen outcomes for women across African economies?
Okay, so for us at the International Center for Evaluation and Development, we have our annual Evidence to Action conference. For this year, our focus is actually to bring researchers, governments, and policymakers together to actually discuss what is working, what is not, and in what context. So in these instances, we have a lot of these discussions around topics that go far beyond women economic empowerment, and then see in what context these are working. All these are very, very relevant in African economy.
All right, thank you so much. I will definitely keep tracking your movements and your research. Clarice Nyan, she's a policy and research expert, International Center for Evaluation and Development. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Ladi.